It's basically defined as someone who advocates fresh ideas for an old industry.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's literally in line with what I described.
Right.
So we've been, all right, well, we got to start there, right? So when our next meeting, we were whiteboarding some ideas, and we had some more basic stuff and some, the Neoterics really stuck with us. But CRE is the industry standard abbreviation for commercial real estate. You'll see
Right.
that everywhere in the industry. So I said, hey, why don't we make our own word? We're making our own thing. We want to do this different. We want to modernize this company to be something completely different than anybody else offers. Hey, let's just make our own name too. Let's make it Creoteric, which since it's our own word, we can make our own definition. And so we're literally a company who is advocating fresh ideas for an old industry. So Creoteric is the word that we organically developed to reflect the mission of the company.
Hey, hey, welcome, entrepreneurial agent listeners. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege of inviting a great friend on the show today. It's Jon Elliott. He's the president, founder, and principal broker of Creoteric commercial real estate here in the Norfolk, Virginia area. Jon, welcome on board the show here today, bud.
Thank you, Paul. I'm excited. I'd like to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man. So I want to dive into commercial real estate right away. But before we do that,
Sure.
just tell me real quick, tell everyone, how'd you get into real estate? I mean, was it just kind of right out of school, you jumped into real estate, or you've done some other things along the way?
Yes and no to that. So actually, yeah, back in high school, I already had interest in real estate. It was, our early passion. Went to real estate school and went through the licensing school right after high school. Kind of got talked into, hey, before you jump into that, you should try the mortgage side of things. Because I had a friend of a friend that owned a mortgage company. And so I did that for, 6.5 years or
Yeah.
so. Flipped a house. I was a residential landlord for 13 years. So kind of, yes, in real estate early, but it wasn't on the commercial side of things. And then really just by happenstance, I had a friend of mine who got first citizen of Chesapeake. And so I was at the dinner celebrating that and just happened to be at a table with a couple whose wife was in commercial real estate. So we started talking and, she said, hey, I really sometimes kind of am jealous of what you do on the residential side because this and this, but I really like commercial because of this, and the list kept going on. And the more we chatted about it, I didn't know really anything about commercial, but the more we chatted, the more I realized that everything she was describing really seemed to fit more of what was up my alley as well. So just started blindly reaching out to commercial brokers because I didn't know anybody personally in that industry. Most of them did not return my call, as would be expected, I guess. Just a guy poking around. But I did get one guy that called me back. He set me up with his broker just really to ask some questions. How can I build my resume? How can I be somebody that you might want to hire in the future type deal? And he said, hey, go back to school, finish your license, and call me when you're done. And so I signed up that day, went back through the school, went past it. Luckily, first time around, called him from the parking lot, said, hey, you said call when I passed, and I passed. And so he's like, well, come on back in. Kind of had a second interview, and he said, I've got an empty office next door, and it's yours if you want it. And so that was how it all started right there.
Wow, that's funny. So just I'm sure the answer is yes because now you're the founder and principal broker of a new entrepreneurial venture, Creoteric. But is commercial all it's cracked up to be compared with that list that your friend kind of laid out, or was she overselling a little bit?
No, you know what? For me, they're very two completely different industries.
Mm.
As as people figure out, if they try to do both or if they get in the mix of both. So it really depends on your personality and your wants and your needs. And I work with a ton of residential agents, and many of them are like, hey, I have no desire to do a deal that I'm going to get paid in 18 to 24 months, because sometimes that's how it works on the commercial side. So for a lot of residential agents, they think it's the silliest thing in the world. Like, hey, I don't want nothing to do with that. For me personally, it is 100% all it's cracked up to be. It's my passion, and it's 100% what I feel like I was meant to do. So I'm super excited to have had that happenstance, dinner and gone from there. But it's perfect for what I want. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. It's interesting. I talk to a lot of people, interview a lot of people, and it's just amazing how many people sort of by a happenstance like that, kind of an off chance, no design, no plan, are they have this moment, this interaction with somebody, just again, it was totally unscripted, and that's what led them down the path of their current career where they're doing really well. The people that I
Hmm.
interview are very successful. And so it's just interesting that it's just a very common theme that I see. I remember a statistic years ago, I heard that I think it was 70% of people go to college and study in a field and they don't even work in the field, the area they studied. And I'm really starting to see that now. And I guess, when you're young, you just kind of trying to find your way and you don't know. But I'll tip my hat to you to open up your mind and to look at that door and just kind of walk through it on faith, right? And here you are today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of, the old saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? And so, in that moment, I felt like all of those years, even though it was in industries that I ultimately wasn't successful at and didn't, that's not where I stayed. Throughout those years, I was still building a reputation for me personally, even if it wasn't for I'm going to be a mortgage broker for the rest of my life. So, all that hard work and networking and prepping and trying to get myself in that position. And then, yeah, you get that opportunity of you just happen to sit down with the right person at a dinner one night. So, that's where, hey, it's lucky that I sat with her. But if I hadn't gotten myself in that position, if I hadn't made all those follow-up phone calls that never got returned and that type deal, I think it's really incumbent on us to take advantage of those opportunities and kind of, yeah, that door opened, but so many people would have looked, would have walked right past the door instead of walking in it. And I
Right.
try to always keep an open mind about what the next opportunity may be, or how can I make myself better. So yeah, it was just definitely a happenstance, but I'm very fortunate that I was able to kind of take advantage of it too.
But you were prepared for it. I mean, as you
Yeah.
said, I mean, your antenna was always up. You were looking. You kind of knew what you didn't want. You knew what you did want. And someone told me recently, it's become my favorite saying of late, is that exposure brings, creates opportunity, right?
Right. Right.
So if you're not, I mean, entrepreneurs are exposing themselves. You've got, and the thing about an entrepreneur, and I can guess this about you, that you've got a lot of experience in a lot of areas. You could probably do a lot of things pretty well, but it's a matter of focusing in on what you really, like you mentioned earlier, passion, and you really are passionate about this commercial real
Yeah.
estate space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw too on your website, you were top 40 under 40 this year.
Yeah, yeah. So that was very cool. I'm really not a big like pat myself on the back, accolade seeker, that type of
Yeah.
thing. I don't have plaques all over my walls and everything. But at the same time, that is an award that, for whatever reason, maybe because I know a handful of people who've gotten it, and I know the resumes of the recipients from current previous years. And I really respect everybody that I know that's on that list. And so it has been one, and maybe it's also the challenge of, hey, you got to do this before you're 40, or sorry about your luck. But that's one that I have always eyeballed and thought, man, that would be really cool to get on that list. And I was fortunate to barely sneak through at age 39 and get it this year. So that was very cool. I was excited.
Wow, congrats. I'm
you.
actually an alumnus too. I got it in 2006.
Are you really?
Yeah,
Nice.
2006. So I'm a few years older than you, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, so digging in now, let's see. So let's talk about your company, this firm,
Sure.
Creoteric. You guys say you're doing real estate differently. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. How do you do it differently? Why do you do it differently? What's your angle here?
Yeah, so I'll actually take it one step back to relate even the name to our vision. So Creoteric, the whole way we came up with that is I have two partners, Sean Rooney and Jonathan Melvin. And when we first started, when we seriously got into, okay, we're going to do this, let's set our plan, here's what we want to do. Sean asked me, he said, okay, what are you thinking about for a name? And I said, man, I'm really struggling with the name, but I know what I want the company to be. And there were so many things that led me to want to start this company. And there's a lot of, in my opinion, there's a lot of antiquated practices in a very old industry that I thought needed to be modernized, from commission splits to how agents are treated, to how clients are treated, to processes, all kinds of different things. that over the years, I've just kind of built my own list of, man, if I had my place, I would do things like this. So, I told Sean, I said, man, I don't have a name. I'm struggling with it, but I want the name to reflect that. And if you look around the industry, so many of the brokerages, not knocking anybody, they're very old brokerages and it's how it was done at the time. But most of the brokerages are named after someone. It's the founder.
Right.
And for me, I said, I don't want my name to have anything to do with it. I want it to reflect a team first mentality. And I want it to reflect the vision and the mission that we have of building a team and doing things differently. So Sean actually found the word Neoteric. And Neoteric, depending on which dictionary you look in, it's basically defined as someone who advocates fresh ideas for an old industry. And I mean, it's literally in line with what I described. Right. So we said, all right, well, we got to start there, right? So when our next meeting, we were whiteboarding some ideas, and we had some more basic stuff and some, the Neoteric really stuck with us. But CRE is the industry standard abbreviation for commercial real estate. You'll see that everywhere in the industry. So I said, hey, why don't we make our own word? We're making our own thing. We want to do this different. We want to modernize this company to be something completely different than anybody else offers. Hey, let's just make our own name too. Let's make it Creoteric, which, since it's our own word, we can make our own definition. And so we're literally a company who is advocating fresh ideas for an old industry, So Creoteric is a word that we organically developed to reflect the mission of the company. So kind of a long answer to your question, but I love explaining that story, and I will tell you, my marketing lady hated it at first. we have a marketing company, handles our social media, and kind of gives some pointers, and she said, no, you're gonna have to tell that story every time somebody asks about your company name, because nobody's gonna know what Creoteric is. I'm like, well, of course they're not. It's not a word, right. But I want to tell that story because that's what the company is all about. So I was excited about it. She was not quite as excited about marketing a brand new word from her standpoint. But for me, it was exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell you the story. I want you to know why we started this.
Well, that's pretty cool. So Sean is quite the wordsmith finding that. I'll say that. But that's emblematic of, again, entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurs take lead into gold. We're modern day alchemists, right? So you've created these two unrelated sort of words, put them together to create the vision, or maybe not create the vision, but really capture the vision that you had, right?
Sure.
To describe the vision that you had, which is that's pretty awesome. I mean, it when you talk about it like that, it makes a lot of sense. So talk a little about what are some of those fresh ideas. And I'm with you, not knocking other commercial real estate companies, but I agree. A lot of them have been established for quite some time, and they seem to be kind of blue blood, kind of, as we would say in the book, blue ocean. I mean, it's just, they've been out there for a long time, kind of doing things the same way. It seems.
Yeah. And just to be fair to the other brokerages, it's not that anybody else, hey, nobody else is doing this the right way. It's just, I saw a hole to do it a different way.
Sure.
And so for a lot of it, it's, and again, just to really generalize, because obviously not everyone is like this, but I saw a lot of very top heavy brokerage, your top tier, your brokers and associate brokers and that type deal are getting a much heavier reward for the work, while a lot of your lower level are putting in the work and not really getting the same reward equivalent to the work they're putting in. I think commission splits, generally speaking, across the board are super antiquated. So a very big part of my model was to have the best splits in the business. And I do. 100% have the best, at least in our market, I have the best splits. I don't think you have to take 50% of an agent's money until they make $500,000 before they start getting 55%. That's crazy to me. So we start at 60%. We start tiering up when you gross $100,000. That smokes anybody else in our business. But outside of that, just the culture, there's a whole lot of, how much money did you make? How much are you making me? How many hours a day are you putting in? And in a lot of cases, I kept hearing the same same complaints from really good agents at some good brokerages who just didn't feel appreciated and didn't feel like their reward was equivalent to their work they're putting in. Catching some flack for, oh, you're going out to lunch. How are you going to make money if you're out to lunch? And no real camaraderie with their fellow agents or their brokers. There's nothing offsite. There's nothing non-real estate related that they're doing together. And so Jonathan and Sean, my partners, own a residential brokerage and have built an amazing company. And I really envied what they did. And I said, I would like to do that on the commercial side. So from the culture standpoint, we are doing, a tropical, you hit your certain criteria and you're going to all expenses paid tropical vacation once a year with your spouse. Company's covering it, right?
Nice.
We're doing off-site stuff. We're doing weekend stuff with your family. Stuff that has nothing to do with real estate, but just for me to say, hey, I appreciate the work you're putting in. I'm going to reward you. And I want you to enjoy life as much as you enjoy coming to work. And I want all of that to have just this nice synergy where I appreciate what you're doing for this team, not for John.
So, okay, I'm tracking that. That's great. So really an integrated approach that it's all about, hey, this is part of your life, but it's not your all-consuming life, right? Real estate.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
mean, you have a family, we have relationships. At the end of the day, if we value that first and put people first, then the real estate will take care of itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like and really in any industry, I'm trying to obviously bring it to a specific industry, but in any industry, I believe if you take care of people first and foremost, then the money and the reputation and the growth and all of that stuff will happen if that's what you're trending towards. But you have to take care of the person as a human first and foremost. And people know if you really do care about them or if it, when it's genuine. And, I think it just creates that, hey, we all want to help each other grow and we're all going to be happy when the other person succeeds. And that's really what I'm trying to build.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. You said the word culture. I mean, culture is everything. People quit. I mean, statistics and studies have shown people quit managers and bosses, but the right culture will attract the right people. And you see it on sports teams all the time. I mean, some teams have just a great culture and they just win and they just have fun doing it. And some teams, they just can't seem to get their act together and it's a cultural thing. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right, well, let's switch gears a little bit. Talk to me about, give us some examples. Tell us about some of the folks that you've helped here with your commercial solutions.
Okay, yeah, sure. I've been largely focused on local businesses, and a lot of that's organic, where you help one business and they tell their friend who owns another local business, and it kind of goes from there. So a large amount of the deals that I do, I'm representing the business owners, and I'm finding space for them to lease or building to purchase. So I'm on that side of things. Now with the company established, I certainly want to add more of a landlord portfolio too than I typically have had. So we're well-rounded as a company. So just to put that out there. But as far as what I've done in the past, some of the local tenants that, that I guess are a little more popular that you may know, Iron Asylum Gym, I did their second and third locations and currently looking for a fourth. The Garage Brewery won top brewery in the area.
I know them
last year. Yeah, heck yeah.
Too well, I think, actually, but anyway.
Yeah, Rusted Nail, best one over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I helped put that one in. Greenbrier Pale Horse Coffee is another one. They I did not know them before they did the original one, kind of near Hickory, but I did the Greenbrier location for them. A couple franchisees that I'm working with now, like Kid Strong and Everbowl, started to get into more of the franchise referral. But on my website, I've got a list of some of the different ones that I've represented. And you can go on and check them. But it's really, that's my favorite part, is that I get to be there every step of the way for these like new businesses or added locations. Somebody like Oishi Burger is a really cool one, just because they're two guys who went out on a limb. One guy worked at the shipyard as an engineer and quit to pursue the dream of opening this restaurant. And just happenstance, another one of my clients who had Volcano Sushi wanted to sell his business. I made the connection with them both and put Oishi in. And now, if you haven't tried Oishi Burger, got to try Oishi Burger. They're amazing, amazing guys. I've opened a couple more businesses and food trucks since then too. But just seeing all like these different businesses from the ground up, where knowing the backstory and how scared sometimes they are to make this leap, or like Garage Brewery was a TRICARE doctor's office when we went in there and looked at it. And it took a lot of vision to say, okay, we're going to put up walls here. We're going to rip this drop ceiling down. We got 19 feet to the ceiling. If we take these out, we got to rip these offices. We got bathrooms over here. And it's a total from scratch vision that you would never, ever have imagined what's in there now. And to be there for every step of that and help them get set up for success. And then for years later, to go in there and have a beer, or to go to Oishi and have a burger, or I go to Iron Asylum Gym to work out, like to help my clients then along the way and know that, hey, I had a little bit to do with this and had a front row seat watching them, hit these next tiers. It's super exciting for me.
Well, I can tell I can feed off your energy. So, and I'm thinking that, so you've seen a lot from your experience in the residential mortgage space, real estate space, being a landlord yourself, and now commercial and all this experience. The commercial is that experience a lot different for an entrepreneur, right? I mean, it's a lot different than going out to buy a house, right? Where you go around with your agent, you find a property, you put a bid in, offers accepted, and you're in the house in 30 days or whatever.
Right.
There's a whole lot more that goes into commercial, right?
That's for sure. Yes, absolutely. So on the commercial side, the community is much, much smaller. So I think residential agents, there's somewhere, last I heard, was between 9,000 and 10,000 agents kind of in our regional market.
Yeah.
The commercial industry, really, there's a couple hundred probably that truly do a fair amount of business.
Yeah.
So we're constantly working with the same people over and over and over. So you get to know them on a more personal level. We're a lot of, hey, here's what I'm looking for. And sometimes you can get leads on stuff that isn't on the market yet, but will be coming on the market. It's a lot more relationship based, for one, to even find some of these spaces. But then, you're negotiating, what the landlord might do for some tenant improvements, or now you're negotiating some free rent time for your client to be able to get in there and do their build out, get operational before they have to start paying rent, negotiating what commissions are and when they're paid. And so a lot of times by the time you go through negotiations, and then sometimes the landlord has to do their build out portion, and then your client gets in, does their build out, and you got the free rent time stack. It's unfortunately not real uncommon that, like I said earlier, 18, 24 months later, you're getting a check for the deal that you started a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So that's, it's definitely a different ballgame for sure.
But it's but as you said, you really, in that period of time, get to know your clients well, right? I mean, you really, it seems to me there's more art and relationship. There's a lot of science in it too. You got to obviously match the need with the opportunity and what's available, but there's a lot of art there, right? And understanding where they are and looking out, say, okay, well, this is going to be a 6, 12, 18, maybe 24-month process. Where do we project you to be in that period of time? You have to look at future growth and just all kinds of things, right? That you guys, these are conversations you're having with your clients before they sign on any commitment, right?
Yeah, for sure. But, because I genuinely take interest and, I'm invested. It's not even whether it's my family, whether it's my friends, whether it's my clients, I'm really invested in trying to be a positive influence and seeing others succeed and helping that happen wherever I can. So when I'm working with these clients, almost all of the time, I end up, we're friends by the time it's over, as much as we are, having that client relationship. And so I really enjoy getting to the end of the road. And again, it makes it more enjoyable for me to then go and support that business after they're open and help them share the word. And, and I'll do giveaways on my page and client appreciation events and things like that. And it's always at a business that I helped, them get started, so I can help give back. But that goes back to building those personal relationships, and not just, I know some agents that will do a 5-year lease and be like, all right, see you in 4.5 years.
Right.
And,
when my renewal reminder comes up, right? My calendar.
Exactly right. Yeah. And again, people see through that. That's not authentic. You just want to make money. And we all want to make money, but at the
Sure.
same time, like I want to continue that relationship and let you know that I'm here for you from here until year 5. And
Mm.
if you decide to get out of the business in year 5, I'm still going to be your friend. It's not all
Yeah.
about making a few bucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it makes it a lot more interesting, right? It makes life a lot more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
because you could have done a lot of things. I mean, you could go do some 9 to 5 grind somewhere and hate your job and hate your life and all that, right? But you chose to do the entrepreneurial thing and start and run and grow a business. You're probably working, who knows how many hours, but you love it, right?
Stupid amount right now. But yes, absolutely. I do love it. And you know what? I'm blessed that a lot of these clients that I've been able to work with and represent, they're in different industries, but then I get to learn a lot about all these different industries, and I get to
Yeah.
see what is their growth plan and what are they doing that works. And it all, even though it's not, hey, what can I get from you? You still end up benefiting just from being around motivated and smart people all the time too.
Yeah.
So it does
Yeah.
help me too.
You become like the people you hang around with
Yeah,
mostly. Absolutely every
100%.
time. What do you see in are you seeing any trends right now in commercial space and in particular in the Virginia, the Hampton Roads area where you are?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me, and it's trended this way for a while too. So this isn't breaking news necessarily, but the industrial kind of flex market has been really thin for quite a while.
Hmm.
That's a pretty hot space, especially in your smaller, we'll say 5,000 square feet or below. Just not a lot of vacancy. Last I looked, the occupancy rate on that type of space in our market was around 98%, a little over
Wow.
98%. So that's been the biggest challenge for me probably is I get a lot of calls from business owners who say, hey, I need a warehouse space with, 18-foot ceilings and dock loading and 2 roll-up doors and whatever.
Right.
And when you put all this stuff down, you're like, well, that just doesn't exist. We're going to have to hang in there. It's going to take some time, and you got to be patient and really kind of dig into the weeds and try to get something before it hits the market.
Hmm.
But yeah, that I would say that's probably the biggest trend, for me. And then really over the past couple of years when the rates were crazy stupid low,
Yeah.
cap rates went down. So for those unfamiliar, cap rates basically just your return on your investment. What kind of return you're getting, and so it got down to levels that just weren't attractive unless you were doing it for tax reasons for the most part. And now that rates have started ticking up, there's a little bit more starting to come on the market. Cap rates are starting to look a little bit more reasonable.
Mm.
So those would be the two things I would probably highlight on trends.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say we're heading back into more balanced market than we've been with the COVID years and all that?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I'll be honest, the leasing side stayed pretty strong
Hmm.
for me and most of the the other brokers that I work with and talk to. Other than when it first shut down, there was just so much uncertainty that
Right.
everything shut down. At least for me personally. But once it bounced back, that wasn't too bad. There's still going to be a little bit of ups and downs, and there's smart people on both sides of it. I tend to feel like probably maybe the tail end of Q1 into Q2 next year we'll probably find some kind of solid middle ground where it won't be so wavy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's pretty solid right now.
Yeah. 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 It's a good time, right? As I tell people, you know, the best time is the time that you have, right? It's now
Hmm.
because you might not have tomorrow, and the economy could be up, the economy could be down, but you got to do something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do something. Well, John, what do you do for fun? We're wrapping up here. Tell us something interesting. You mentioned the gym, so I can see that you're
Yeah.
obviously at the gym a lot.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of like my reading first thing in the morning. My coffee is like my peaceful time, and then my kind of de-stress time is the gym. So 6-7 days a week, I'm getting something, whether I'm lifting or playing sports or running, or there's something generally pretty much every day, and that's kind of my like woosah moment, to get all that out before I get into the workday.
Yeah.
So that for sure. I'm a big UVA guy, so I have season tickets for football and basketball. Go up there with family and friends and catch a lot of games. Still love playing pickup sports, so I'll get out and play flag football or pick up basketball, and stuff like that. I like to stay active. And then really just generally being outside. I'm a summertime guy, so give me all of the beach and pool parties and brew festivals and all that stuff. I'm in. Yeah, I like to be out mingling and catching some fresh air for sure.
Nice. So you're in the right area for that, right down here at the beach.
Definitely.
That's awesome. Well, Jon, this has been great. We've coming up on the end of our time. Tell everyone how, and we'll get this in the show notes. Tell everyone how they can get in contact with you when they need some commercial real estate. They want to buy that building or lease or put something on the market to sell or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach out to me directly for sure. And the easiest, I'm honestly really easy to get in touch with. I'm always on the move, so it may take me a little bit of time to get back to you, but it'll always be like same day, next day at the absolute latest. I don't leave anybody hanging. So you can text or call my cell, which I'll tell you is 757-270-2788. You can shoot me an email, which is just Jon, Jon, @creoteric.com. And then if you want to follow the company page, which would be amazing, I would appreciate, anyone who follows and shares. We have LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram for Creoteric, the business itself. And so we have quite a few deals that are all rolling. Like I said, it takes a little bit of time for these deals to roll over. But we have a bunch of them that are now coming down the home stretch. So over the next few months, you'll start seeing some really cool projects that I can't really put out there yet, but are coming up. So follow our pages. I'll be doing giveaways. We'll be doing a client appreciation event / Creoteric launch party type deal. So a lot of really cool things coming up on our social media pages too.
Well, make sure that you tag me when the party's at Pale Horse or the Garage Brewery, because I'm a regular hangout at both places.
All right. Well, so I'll tell you another one right over by Pale Horse. I'm gonna give a little plug too. This is one of my newer clients. But Neat Bird is going in Summit Point, right across from the Greenbrier Pale Horse, and that's a chicken and whiskey restaurant. They'll be opening this week, so I can put that plug in there for them. And yeah, so that's the spot you got to put on the radar too.
Okay, Neat Bird. It's chicken and whiskey.
Yes. How amazing is that?
Hey, I mean, how can you go wrong, right?
Exactly.
I mean, just that combination has got my curiosity piqued, right? I'll tell my wife, she's like, "Oh, that'll be good. Let's go." Who knows?
Yeah, when I talked to him and he said that, I was like, business plan? I don't need a business plan. I'm in. Let's go.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Jon, this has been super fun. I appreciate you taking some time with us. Yeah, and again.